In this video, we'll be taking a look at 3 college football games happening on October 28, 2023, and providing you with free team picks and total picks for each one of those games, so 6 picks in total. Welcome back to Cash Out Sports. Let's dive right into it. Oh, and don't forget to subscribe and to click the bell icon to get notified as soon as these videos get released, so that you have more time to plan out your bets as we provide these videos on a daily basis. I can guarantee that you'll have all the important information that you'll need on these 3 college football games after fully watching this video. One more thing before we start. If you would like to gain access to our best exclusive sports picks to take your journey to the next level, then check out our Patreon in the link down below, where we offer our best single picks, parlay picks, and much more. Now let's get started. Florida State versus Wake Forest. The undefeated and 4th-ranked Florida State Seminoles embark on a journey to North Carolina for an Atlantic Coast Conference showdown against the Wake Forest Demon Deacons this Saturday. Florida State remains flawless at 7-0, fresh from a victory over 17th-ranked Duke last weekend, while Wake Forest comes off a home win against Pittsburgh, holding a 4-3 record. Florida State enters this matchup with an unblemished 7-0 overall record and appears poised for a potential college football playoff appearance in the weaker Atlantic Coast Conference. Nonetheless, they understand that one loss could derail their ambitions. In their previous game against Duke, Florida State put up 38 points, securing an 18-point win. This season, the Seminoles have averaged 42 points while allowing just 19 points per game on defense. Their offense ranks 5th in the league, and their defense ranks 21st. Quarterback Jordan Travis has been exceptional, throwing for 1,750 yards, 15 touchdowns, and only 2 interceptions. Wake Forest, holding a 4-3 record, has shown consistency but not explosiveness on offense. In their recent game against the Pittsburgh Panthers, the Demon Deacons scored only 21 points but managed to secure a win. Wake Forest's season average stands at 23 points, with their defense allowing 22 points per game. Their offense ranks 99th in the league, while their defense ranks 45th. Historically, Florida State has been dominant in the series, winning 30 of the 40 matchups thus far. However, the Demon Deacons have managed to claim victory in the last 3 meetings, which is just the 2nd time in the 40 games they've won more than 2 in a row. In the past 10 meetings, the Seminoles have won by over 20 points on 4 occasions, and it seems they are primed to repeat this feat on Saturday. Florida State's ability to pass the ball will likely prove troublesome for the Demon Deacons, as Wake Forest currently ranks 101st in pass defense. Florida State's quarterback, Jordan Travis, is quietly putting together a Heisman-worthy campaign, and he's expected to produce impressive numbers against Wake Forest. Furthermore, Florida State excels in the red zone, ranking 5th in the country in offense, and they are good at protecting the football, standing 20th in turnover differential. In contrast, Wake Forest ranks 122nd in turnover differential, a concerning statistic when facing one of the nation's top 5 teams. Apart from the Big Ten Conference, favorites have faced challenges in covering the spread this season. Notably, recent games involving big favorites have been upset, such as the University of North Carolina's loss to the Virginia Cavaliers as 24.5-point favorites last week. Similarly, the Georgia Bulldogs failed to cover the spread 2 weeks ago against Vanderbilt. Consequently, the bookmakers have set a slightly lower line for this game, about 4 points lower than usual. The Wake Forest offense faces uncertainty, with a choice between a veteran quarterback who has been benched this season or an inexperienced sophomore quarterback with limited playing time, including just 21 pass attempts, 12 of which were completed, along with 2 interceptions and 1 touchdown. This presents a challenging situation against Florida State's formidable defense, which has allowed a mere 201 passing yards and 18 points on average. Florida State's defense will also focus on limiting Wake Forest's rushing offense, which typically garners fewer than the 149 yards that Florida State usually allows. As a result, it's likely to be a long and frustrating morning for Wake Forest. Florida State has been scoring at an average of nearly 42 points this season, with an impressive streak of at least 30 points in 13 consecutive games, the longest such streak in the nation. Over the last 3 games, they have averaged around 39 to 40 points. Their 44% third down conversion rate exhibits their machine-like consistency, akin to the Michigan Wolverines in the Big Ten. Florida State tends to avoid making errors, with 35 touchdowns to their credit, while their quarterback has thrown just 2 interceptions. Additionally, their place kicker, Ryan Fitzgerald, has a perfect record of connecting on all 8 of his field goal attempts. In summary, despite the high point total, the Seminoles are expected to excel on Saturday, with only 2 weeks left until their crucial game of the season against Arkansas. arch rival Miami on November 11th. So the Florida State Seminoles to win and cover the spread as favorites is our full game side pick. Regarding the total, the initial line for the Florida State versus Wake Forest game opened at 53. However, it has since dropped by 1 point to 52, a change that appears reasonable for several reasons. First, Wake Forest is expected to encounter significant challenges early in the game, with a limited ability to reach their season average of around 2 touchdowns per game. Second, Wake Forest's offense relies heavily on the rush, averaging 41.3 attempts per game, which, combined with this season's rule changes regarding the game clock, suggests a shorter game duration. Lastly, early Saturday games tend to start at a slower pace, a trend supported by Wake Forest's average of just 2 points allowed in the first quarters of games this year. While this trend may be challenged, it still provides a reason for the total to trend lower. In the past 8 meetings between these teams dating back to 2014, the under has consistently prevailed. We expect this trend to continue and make it the 9th consecutive under. Under the projected total is our full game total pick. Indiana versus Penn State. The Hoosiers make their way to Happy Valley to take on the 10th-ranked Nittany Lions in a Big Ten showdown this Saturday. Indiana is coming off a disheartening 3rd consecutive loss, a 31-14 defeat at home against Rutgers, while the number 10 Penn State suffered their first loss of the season, a 20-12 setback to number 3 Ohio State. Indiana enters this contest with a 2-5 overall record and is grappling with another loss in their recent game. The Hoosiers struggled offensively, managing only 14 points against Rutgers, which ultimately proved to be the difference maker in their loss. Quarterback Brendan Sorsby completed 15 of 31 passes for 126 yards and a touchdown. Indiana's offense is averaging 18 points per game, while their defense is allowing 29 points. Their offense ranks 125th in the league, while their defense ranks 96th. On the other hand, Penn State arrives with a 6-1 overall record but is fresh off an offensive struggle against Ohio State in their last game. The Nittany Lions mustered only 12 points, unable to find their rhythm throughout the contest. Quarterback Drew Aller completed 18 of 42 passes for 191 yards and a touchdown. The leading rusher was Nick Singleton, who carried the ball 9 times for 48 yards. Penn State's offense boasts an average of 40 points, while their defense is allowing a mere 10 points. In their last game, the defense remained solid, but the offense failed to find its groove. Penn State enjoys a dominant 24-2 lead in their head-to-head series, a trend unlikely to change in this encounter. The major question revolves around the point spread, which appears quite substantial. Penn State has covered the spread in the last 2 meetings, with an average margin of victory of 27.5 points and a 31-point margin in their previous season's victory. This year, the Nittany Lions have been defeating teams convincingly, with an average victory margin of 36 points and 2 shutouts. However, when facing Big Ten opponents, their margin of victory narrows to 25 points per game. Penn State may have faltered against Ohio State, but that setback shouldn't affect their performance at home against the struggling Indiana team. The Nittany Lions have covered the spread in all their wins this season, emphasizing their tendency to dominate. Penn State is unlikely to ease off against Indiana, exploiting their weak run defense with a substantial dose of Singleton and Allen. It's expected that Penn State will surpass the 276-yard rushing performance that Rutgers managed last week against Indiana, potentially exceeding the 300-yard mark. Indiana's offense faces a formidable challenge moving the ball against the Nittany Lions, who excel in pass and run defense. Sorsby's inefficiency last week left his team in a tough situation against a beatable opponent, and he is likely to face a significant challenge against a nationally ranked powerhouse this Saturday. Penn State's pass rush will put pressure on the freshman quarterback, potentially forcing checkdowns, throwaways, and interceptions. Given that Indiana is arguably the weakest team in the Big Ten and is coming off their sole loss of the season, the Nittany Lions are determined to make a statement. The Hoosiers are unlikely to halt all aspects of the Penn State offense, so the Penn State Nittany Lions to win and cover the spread as favorites is our full game side pick. To cover this substantial spread, the Nittany Lions need a significant point margin, a feat well within their capability. Last week's 12-point performance aside, Penn State has consistently scored over 30 points in every other game, with 3 occasions scoring 41 or more points. This game provides an opportunity for Penn State to return home and make amends for the loss to Ohio State. Indiana managed to score 7 points against Michigan, the only defense in the country that allows fewer points than Penn State. Therefore, Indiana should be able to make the scoreboard this time. Indiana had an opportunity to win last week but couldn't maintain their competitiveness throughout the game against Rutgers. In this game, it's likely that Aller will complete at least 70% of his passes, taking advantage of the strong ground game provided by the Lions to open up passing opportunities for the sophomore quarterback. It wouldn't be surprising if the Nittany Lions alone surpass the 45-point mark, as Coach Franklin will aim to run up the score similar to their games against UMass and Delaware. Penn State will wear down the Hoosiers and consistently score throughout all 4 quarters, while Indiana may not manage more than a single touchdown, contributing to the total. The over has prevailed in 4 out of the last 5 meetings. Over the projected total is our full game total pick. Oklahoma versus Kansas. The college football Saturday action kicks off as the number 6 Oklahoma Sooners hit the road to face the Kansas Jayhawks. In their last outing, the Sooners narrowly escaped with a 31-29 victory against UCF, failing to cover the 17-point spread as favorites. Meanwhile, the Jayhawks suffered a road loss to Oklahoma State, falling 39-32 as 3-point favorites. Oklahoma secured a 52-42 victory in last year's meeting. The current odds favor Oklahoma by 10 points. Oklahoma started the season strong with 6 consecutive wins, and most of those victories came by a considerable margin. Their impressive victories include a 73-0 dismantling of Arkansas State in the opener, followed by wins over SMU, Tulsa, Cincinnati, Iowa State, and Texas to maintain their momentum. In their recent showdown against UCF, the Sooners found themselves trailing 23-17 heading into the final quarter. They managed to turn the tide, scoring a couple of touchdowns to secure a hard-fought 31-29 victory. Quarterback Dylan Gabriel was instrumental, amassing 253 yards and 3 touchdowns with a single interception. Nick Anderson led the receiving corps with 105 yards and 2 touchdowns from 5 catches, and Marcus Major contributed 82 rushing yards. The Jayhawks began their 2023 campaign impressively, winning their first 4 games against Missouri State, Illinois, Nevada, and Brigham Young University. A challenging matchup against Texas resulted in a 40-14 loss, but they bounced back with a 51-22 win over UCF in their next contest. In their most recent game on October 14th against Oklahoma State, the Jayhawks led 32-27 going into the final quarter but failed to score, ultimately losing 39-32. Jason Bean delivered a remarkable performance, amassing 410 passing yards, 5 touchdowns, and 2 interceptions in the loss. Mason Fairchild and Quentin Skinner played pivotal roles in the receiving game. The Jayhawks have had some extra time to prepare for this tough matchup, and if everything goes according to plan, they can keep pace with Oklahoma. In their previous game against Oklahoma State, Kansas posted 500 total yards, secured 19 first downs, and intercepted the ball twice, while the defense struggled to contain the Cowboys, allowing 554 yards and 27 first downs. They have been fairly consistent in scoring, with 31 points or more in all but 1 game this season. As for Oklahoma, they barely survived a scare last week, but their offense remains formidable. While last week's win wasn't the most stylish, it showcased the team's resilience. Oklahoma had a close call last week, and they might be in for another tough battle. Kansas let an opportunity slip away against Oklahoma State last week, and now they have a chance to exact revenge by upsetting Oklahoma. With Coach Lance Leipold preparing the Jayhawks, Kansas should be well prepared to compete. Let's trust Kansas at home and spot them the points for this final chapter in the Kansas-Oklahoma football rivalry. So the Kansas Jayhawks to cover the spread as underdogs is our full game side pick. Kansas enters this matchup as the underdog due to their defensive struggles. Their defensive statistics in the Big 12 rank in the bottom half, making it likely that Oklahoma will score with ease. However, Kansas is not without offensive firepower. Even with their backup quarterback getting substantial playing time, the Jayhawks rank 3rd in the conference in scoring. Jason Bean threw 5 touchdown passes last week and will likely lead the Jayhawks to enough scoring drives to avoid complete embarrassment in this matchup. Both teams have recently leaned towards high-scoring games, with Kansas going over in 3 of their last 4 matches and Oklahoma going over in 2 of their last 3. Oklahoma's ability to put up quick points combined with Kansas' tendency to keep pace and score will result in an action-packed, high-scoring game. The total is set quite high, but both teams boast top 20 offenses and only one possesses a competent defense. Playing at home, Kansas will be motivated to compete after their narrow game last week, making points abundant in this contest. Over the projected total is our full game total pick. That's all for now, so if you have any other games you would like reviewed, then leave a comment down below with the game you would like analyzed. Subscribe to our channel, leave a like on this video, and we'll get to it as soon as we possibly can. We would also love to hear your opinion on the picks presented to you in this video, whether you agree or disagree with them, so leave a comment down below and do let us know.